Here, the confluence of the Bennett and Merwe, the Noordmaas and the Oudmaas is the busiest river junction in Europe. The Dutch and water, it has always been something special, and Dordrecht is a particularly good example of this. The city has become large thanks to transport on the rivers, but the other side of the coin is that you always must consider the power of nature and the power of water. This results in building on piles and a lot of effort and energy in constructing dikes and maintaining the infrastructure to protect the habitation. Hidden behind the dike lives Peter van de Merwe with his wife Natalie and daughter Gwen. Their home is neatly shielded from the water by the meter-high Noordendik and, despite its proximity to the city center, is an oasis of calm and exudes the atmosphere of a small farm. The van de Merwe's love animals. His parents live next door to Peter, and Peter's father Arie is also involved in looking after the animals. Peter is a proven value in Dutch pigeon racing. Since the early years he has been racing at the highest level. The love for the pigeon sport is in the family. In 1985 Uncle Piet van de Merwe introduced Peter in the pigeon sport. Until then, Peter was interested in almost all animals. His real love for pigeons started when Peter caught a wounded pigeon and took care of it until it was ready to fly home again. From that moment on he had lost his heart to pigeon racing. Uncle Piet saw potential in Peter and gave him 11 youngsters. Father Arie built a first loft, and Dordrecht had a new pigeon fancier. The origin of the van de Merwe colony starts with the pigeons of his uncle. Afterwards pigeons from the De Witt brothers were added. Clackturnier, it is a public secret that the De Witt brothers are at the basis of other top colonies in the Netherlands. At the time, eggs were obtained from Van Loon that turned out to be golden eggs. Other names which are in one way or another interwoven in the strain by purchase or co-breeding are Odevanger, Ad Sherleckens, Cees van de Poel, Combe B&W, Marcel Sengers, 100% Koopman, and the last few years successful investments were made in pigeons of Guy van der Owera, especially the Gouvertsbloed of Gaston van de Wouwer, and Leo Heermans. Recently, the Kittel pigeons of Dirk van der Balk were crossed into the van de Merwe strain, and the first results are more than promising, and of course we must not forget the Blauw Leo, has flown super and breeds real champions from Leo and Jerry Docks, and Dark Gwen another flying and breeding wonder from Hardy Kruger. In the van de Merwe house, they are all pigeon crazy, and everyone, Peter, Gwen and Natalie have their own department. The beauty of this story is that without realizing it, they stimulate each other to put brilliant results on paper. The van de Merwe pigeons have the art to perform season after season on an unprecedented high level, and now no less than 30 NPO victories, dozens of national ace pigeons and many titles on provincial and national level adorn their pelmers. When you see this, we really wonder if they have ever experienced this in the history of Dutch pigeon racing. Also, in 2020, the results were phenomenal. First NPO Roy 20,199 pigeons. First NPO Fontenay 17,630 pigeons. First NPO Pont Street Max 12,240 pigeons. First NPO Blois 3,212 pigeons and more. Such results do not come out of the blue. The whole thing must click perfectly. The lofts, the system, the fancier and of course the strong base of the breeding loft. Peter, being the down-to-earth person he is, sees especially the strong breeding base as the key to his success. If it goes wrong there, you may be such a good fancier. Nobody can make a racehorse out of a donkey, so you have to make sure you have race horses. System racing pigeons. Once this season is over, the racers stay inside and can enjoy the spacious aviaries. If Peter does not do this, you can be sure that about 20 pigeons will disappear in the claws of the birds of prey. From February onwards, they can start training again, but at irregular times. At the end of February, the racing team is coupled and may brood a maximum of 14 days. Afterwards, the sexes are separated, and the training is gradually increased. The pigeons train once a day. This has been the case for years, and since the results are top, Peter is not inclined to switch to 2 training sessions a day. Because of the later start of the 2020 season, The old and yearling racers were darkened for the first time. For 12 hours a day it was dark on the lofts. This went well, but in hindsight, this was unnecessary because the season didn't end later. Peter didn't see a real difference, and therefore the old ones won't be darkened anymore in the season 2021. The last races, also called naughter races, are finished in nest positions so the pigeons stay in the feathers. As far as motivation is concerned, little or nothing is done. Years of experience have taught Peter that motivation can have the opposite effect. Pigeons in top form motivate themselves, and top form can be stimulated by training them well, if necessary, with the flag, feeding them well and taking care of them punctually. Peter has already experienced several times that when you have the form on your loft, you must do the least. The old and yearling pigeons are played according to the total widowhood system. The strange thing is that one year the cocks perform well and the other year the hens. The total widowhood has been appreciated for many years, and the big advantage is that afterwards both the better cocks and the better hens can strengthen the breeding loft. The hens see the inside of a travel basket every week, while the cocks get a week's rest now and then. Giving cocks a week's rest can have a positive effect on their condition. The hens are in the race a lot before the start of the season. During this season, the first days after the flight, they are also in the run, and when there are some horny ladies, they are locked up in a special hen's box. Since a few years, Peter feeds them mixtures of bears. During the molting season, the pigeons get a mixture of 70% Galaxy molting plus 15% depurative plus 15% barley. This mixture is on the menu until the coupling in February. Once paired, they are switched to 100% breeding mixture. During this season they get depurative at home, afterwards it is replaced by Galaxy Light. The last days they are enriched with Galaxy Energy. 100% energy mixture is only fed on the day of basketing. The pigeons are fed in a common feeding trough, and Peter does not feed with a measuring spoon but by feeling. On the day of basketing, the pigeons are fed in the morning until they start eating with long teeth. At 1 p.m. they get some food again, and as dessert they get some candy seeds and tovo mix. Other protein and energy additions are not directly for Peter. Medically, Peter has full confidence in Hank the Weird. Before the start of the season, all pigeons are vaccinated against paramyxo and smallpox, and they are set free from tricho. After the flight, BS is put in the water. Especially in warm weather or when the pigeons have been in the basket longer than foreseen, BS is given. Once a month all racers get a Belgamigix. In principle, we don't cure against head diseases, but if Peter thinks it's necessary, he will consult Hank the Weird, and his advice will be followed. Last season everything went perfect, the results were super, so the medicine cabinet remained closed. But again, this only works if everything goes by the book. A bad race can cause problems, and then you must cure your pigeons. The loft is oriented towards the southeast. During the day, the pigeons can always go into the loft. In the evening, the pigeons are fed in the loft and the windows are closed. The ventilation in the loft then opens to 60 centimeters. The floor is cleaned once a day. The inexhaustible class of their breeding loft. For years at the top of the Dutch pigeon sport, performing extremely hard. It is only given to a few, but Peter succeeds miraculously. His secret class pigeons. Everything started with those well-known pedigrees such as Replay, Gwen, Amigo, Replay Jr., Big John Jr., Natalie, etc. Most of these toppers have first shown their capacities on the races, and afterwards they excelled on the breeding loft by passing on their flying capacities to the first, second, and third generation. When we asked Peter about his breeding strategy, his answer was short and clear. I will especially cross the children-grandchildren from the above-mentioned stock pigeons. Rarely will there be an inbreeding pairing. I look a bit at the type of each pigeon, and I do not know anything about the eye theory. The most important thing is the results. Good cross good is in my opinion the ideal pairing, and it is striking that some breeding lines pass on their winning genes.